Last Pine Productions presents The New Way podcast. The New Way contains adult content, including discussion of the film Howard the Duck, a PG-rated movie featuring more interspecial sex than 3 viewings of The Shape of Water. Listener discretion is advised.
You think I'm shit? Well, you're wrong. Because I'm champagne. And you're shit.
I just killed my best friend.
And your worst enemy.
Same difference.
Georgie boy didn't have the stuff. And maybe he didn't have it in him.
Stop it, Mother.
Like hell I will.
I am now one of the dark overlords of the universe.
Everybody wants to be naked and famous. Everybody wants to be just like me. I'm naked.
Will you help teach me about this? What is it? A new way?
Hello and welcome to The New Way podcast, coming to you from Last Pine Productions. And a little birdie told me, that little birdie was myself, that we might have some new listeners coming to us out there. You may have seen us on Facebook or on our new Instagram page. So if you're a new listener out there, welcome to the show. I am Matt Shank.
I'm Ben.
I'm Nick.
Look at that! Look how great that was, just done all through the magic of looks, and it's very amazing. We're in this giant studio. The fact that we can even pull that kind of thing off
What are
there.
you talking about? We're in 3 different bunkers across the United States.
We each have a key that we turn to start the podcast.
We travel to and fro using tube technology.
That's right. So this is the new way where.
Did you get the scientists working on the tube technology?
Eventually, they will get on that. But
Yes.
it's taken way too long for the tube technology to show up. For
Ironically,
us. It really
did you
has.
hear about the fact that like there's actually like this startup firm in outside of Los Angeles that's working on like developing literally
Vegas.
tube technology to travel in like California?
Yeah, isn't
Straight
that
to
what-
Vegas.
Yeah, isn't that what Musk? Isn't that Elon Musk is doing that? Like he's got the tunnel thing with the crazy car that goes through it, the tube.
Maybe
tunnel
that
thing?
is.
I think it's. I thought
So
that was
what
his
we're
thing.
saying, really,
he had a child cave submarine. I don't know if he's
Is that
No,
gone-
that's well before that.
What we're,
that's old
so
school.
all we're really saying is that Tenacious D was 18 years ahead of the rest of the curve.
That's right. Elon Musk owes Jack Black some residuals off of whatever he makes.
Stock up on potatoes now, folks. They were profits.
and fillet of fish sandwiches, because if you're watching your weight, it's healthier because it's fish.
And Cherry's Jubilee.
And that's
it.
So that was a good smattering of what you're going to hear on this podcast from week to week. Which basically
Wasn't obscure enough of a reference for you? Just wait.
Just wait until I bring up something about pre-code film.
Yeah, exactly. So we
Welcome, new listeners.
We basically discuss movies, pop culture, TV, and for those of you, things you can expect from the New Way podcast. I would say swearing is going to happen. There was probably swearing in the adult content warning before this episode. I haven't recorded it yet, but I most often swear during that, so you're going to get that. You're going to hear a lot of cans opening. That's just where we get our magic from, and where it's just
Our
the
podcast juice.
Just think about it, like on the New Way, every time you hear a can open, an angel gets its wings.
yeah, it's our awesomeness escaping our bodies through the sound of what might or may not be beers being opened on air. You're going to hear a lot of meandering, as you've heard just right now, and where we go off.
When I don't have the floor.
This is true. Well, there's bickering. There's
Fuck
also
you.
There's also nickering, which is bickering, but when Nick is really, really sinking his teeth in. There's Ben referencing movies that are over 50 years old, and there's Matt's annoying laugh. So those are all things that you can look forward to in almost every episode of The New Way.
I don't sink my teeth. I just dig my heels.
That's right. So I do have one bit of business to do here with my 2 co-hosts, which is this is going to be a little bit of a shout out to something. So Ben, I don't know if you can
what's this?
move
Hold
your
on a second.
yeah.
I see an adorable, tiny-sized beer snifter.
And I'm going to hand another adorable tiny-sized beer snifter to Nick.
Is there such thing as a beer snifter? Can that be a thing? Is that just?
Oh wait, shit!
Don't smell. Did you smell it already?
I already smelled.
Oh, that's why I had
caught
to do
a
it.
waft.
You already took the aromatic bouquet.
So it is
Officially the time.
It is officially pumpkin beer
It
season.
is
already.
officially August.
Which, this is Elysium's pumpkin beer, which is called. It's called Night Owl.
I've had it
And
before.
I want to taste this here.
Yeah, it's good.
Tastes like Halloween.
Tastes like Halloween.
Welcome to the White Guys Podcast, where we drink pumpkin spice beer.
We did a Halloween podcast last year with Ben's lovely wife Beth.
I love it.
And
She loved it.
it was an hour and a half long slog where we trick-or-treated live on air in the studio.
And it's going to be happening again this year.
And it's going to be happening again in just probably 2 short months. You're going to be getting that. So I just wanted a little tease and an excuse to buy a pumpkin beer.
I hope we get Ben Wilson
certainly.
2.0 like last Halloween episode.
You know what? No, actually, I think what we
We're
discussed...
gonna have plenty of treats.
So what we discussed, actually, I think this year that I need to pass the baton of drunkenness to somebody else. I'm not sure
I
who
hope
that
it's
person
Beth.
is yet, but I do believe that we have designs for a podcast that might get a little silly with the whole,
Yes.
So,
We have a couple of...
Are you sure Beth's gonna be into that? I mean, are you sure Beth's gonna be into that?
You really want to ask that question?
Do you think Beth would
'cause-
like it?
I love it.
There we
that's
go.
right, that's right.
Yeah, it's not as quick as you think it happens for me to look up these things. So just know.
I was furiously furrowing my brow over at Matt, trying to communicate.
I need
press
to.
that
I need to
button.
hard code Beth as B on the soundboard, so just that anytime I want the "I love it," I just go right for the B, instead of going right for the D, which I normally do, just to beat you all to the
Yeah,
joke.
that was Matt
I thought
looking
you were
at
referring to my
me.
wife for a second. I was just like, she always goes.
She goes
for
right
the
for the
T.
B.
She wants to be.
So, on our episodes of the New Way, we typically have kind of a main topic that we talk about. But we also open with something kind of a little bit lighter, and I want to try something new with you guys tonight a little bit.
I do have a bone to pick after we're done with this.
Oh,
actually,
my goodness, that's on air or off air? You just
on
like
air.
threatening to berate
Not with
me?
either of you guys.
Oh, this is. Was there some shenanigans in our trivia?
No.
Oh, I thought you were gonna think this was gonna be like a quiz show. You were gonna blow the roof off of.
But if you're listening, Fox News.
No.
Okay. So I was thinking about this the other day. We've talked about it a little bit about how where are the new movies coming from? Where are the things that aren't sequels or superhero movies or
Original film.
Original film. And I was thinking about it, and we kind of touched upon this in one of the podcasts. But I think what's doing it is all of the amazing TV. I think everything that's new and interesting has moved to short, long form television, where it's 10 episodes or 8 episodes, and you're seeing more and more interesting things happening as small series than you are necessarily seeing them make it to the screen.
I can't remember who it was, what celebrity it was, a very prominent celebrity, and who said that
Tiny Tim?
in the late 90s they were it may have been Kevin Bacon or somebody like. Anyways,
Yeah.
said that they were with Tom Hanks, and Tom Hanks was just like, just don't ever do television, just stay away, just don't ever do television, don't sink to that level. And now, meanwhile, like Tom Hanks produces like
All the good TV, a lot of the good TV.
a lot of the good TV nowadays, and it has been doing that for quite some time actually. So the medium's changed so much now that it's becoming acceptable. I think people expect now. There's a barometer or some level of quality that's been reached, and so you have these really talented directors and really talented performers who are willing to. They want to sink their teeth into something that takes 8 hours to get
and
through.
as long as it's not on a network.
And even like Benedict Cumberbatch had said previously, like the 2 things he ever wanted to play as an actor were Hamlet, and he wanted to play
Patrick
Patrick
Anyone in The
Melrose.
Walking Dead. Just any role in The Walking Dead.
He'd be
but-
a good zombie.
Sure.
Well,
Well,
outside of The Walking Dead, it's funny. You're right about the TV quality going up for sure. But like A-list actors never wanted to be on TV, and they never wanted to be in superhero films, and now
Yeah.
that tide has really turned.
Well, the superhero is going to always get. They always could grab somebody in the superhero movie.
Sure.
They always got you got a Brando
Well,
and a
right,
Hackman.
right.
You got a Nicholson, and then the rest
Val
of the cast
Kilmer,
was nothing. Yeah.
George Clooney.
Well,
But
so what I wanted to ask you guys.
Some of the biggest stars in
Is-
the world.
So TV's awesome.
Right, but look at the supporting cast. There was,
Arnold Schwarzenegger, the highest paid actor of the time at Batman and Robin.
Uma Thurman.
they didn't have a universe.
Uma,
A
Hey,
cinematic
let's not
universe.
forget about. I mean,
mean,
really,
there was a
the
universe.
biggest star of that movie was Alicia Silverstone.
yeah,
True.
And the nipples. Everyone's nipples, basically.
Yeah.
Except for
It was
the
an
females
equal.
didn't have
It
nipples.
was an equal opportunity
Bat
nipple
nip situation?
Yes, nipple situation.
I've got. Never mind. I'm not
Okay.
gonna.
But no, but I agree with you. I mean, like, obviously, I think it's because you have a lot of creatives.
I've got nipples. Fucker, can you milk me?
No,
I'm
okay,
sorry.
there
I
we
had to
go.
do it. I had to do it.
But so here's the thing.
Contractually obligated every
I
episode.
do find it interesting because there's kind of this big shift. There's a lot of people who have been involved with TV for a long time, like your Vince Gilligans of the world. Topical right now because Better Call Saul just came out. And because Vince Gilligan worked on X-Files for a decade basically, and then eventually went on to breaking
The new X-Files?
No.
Okay.
No.
Well, he is involved. He's an executive producer of the new X-Files, which I watched the first season of, which was pretty good.
There's one episode that was good. The weird one.
But anyways, he did Breaking Bad, obviously, which has its own, it has its own spot in the pantheon.
It's all right.
Whatever. I personally like Better Call Saul better, but which is crazy.
And that's kind of what I wanted to. So I wanted to find out, just outside of a topic episode, what's one thing you're watching right now, and it can be something you're just now finding if you want. But what's one thing you're watching right now, and why are you watching it? So Nick, we'll start with you. What's something you're really into and why are you into it?
The second I came home from the last podcast after you blew Reginald Val Johnson's cameo and. Brooklyn Nine-Nine. That episode was on the night I got home.
Oh, was it really?
The second I got home.
The
it went
bachelor
on.
party?
Yeah, I blew through Brooklyn Nine-Nine, and I was kind of bitter about that show for getting saved and Last Man on Earth not getting saved, but it is so good. I cannot wait for the new season of Brooklyn Nine-Nine. And I texted you last night. I got back into Party Down, started my second
great show
watch through of Party Down, and it's crazy. It's crazy, like, the socioeconomic climate that they predicted. If you go back, I thought it was going to be really dated, and it actually has never been more relevant. and the performance is like the character building in that show.
Are you going to open
in
a
one
super
episode?
salad?
Super crackers.
Super crackers. That's it.
Party Down was a fucking awesome show.
I mean, and when you talk about, okay, listen, sure, Breaking Bad had a somewhat famous arc where Walter White turns into Heisenberg and change and all that, right? But what about Ken Marino's arc from 2 seasons? He goes from the uptight team leader to losing his job, begging to get back on the team, working as a subordinate, and then being the new
to make him
Adam
Lolly,
Scott.
right? Yeah,
yeah. It's so good.
Yeah, it's if you've not seen Party Down, where is it? Is it on Hulu?
It's on Hulu now. It was a Starz show.
Yeah, I mean, check it out. It's 2 seasons. It's 20 episodes, something like that.
It's amazing.
I mean, basically that's the entire thing.
It's two seasons, like a bonus episode after that.
Yeah, and it's completely worth your time.
And the theme song is the most Elfman TV theme song I've heard since The Simpsons.
I don't remember the theme song. Hold on, I can.
It sounds like Pee-wee's Big. It sounds like a riff on the Pee-wee's Big Adventure theme, and never struck me until a couple nights ago. And I was listening to it, watching an episode, and it's dead on. It's a dead on Elfman score. They had to have given that direction. But it's so good.
How long is it? How long is the theme song? Is it short?
It's like a minute.
Oh, because there's one that says 6 seconds, so that can't be right. I don't know.
They
can't
have
find
tags.
it.
You know what they do? They do nowadays. They have the full theme song, but you don't get the old. See, talk about TV. Yeah, TV may be better, Matt, but the death of the TV theme song is a goddamn travesty.
Well, except for a lot of the cable ones. Game of Thrones has one of the most iconic TV. It's not. There's no words to it. Like
I have a
Tyrion's
really-
short, but he's long on words.
the network theme song is gone. No more.
I have a
Bosom Buddies, Billy Joel in front of Bosom Buddies. No more Family Matters.
I have a really
Step by Step.
a really funny thing to admit right now, which is that because I was always a big Song of Ice and Fire fan.
Danger, Will Robinson.
Before the Game of Thrones TV show came out, so I had read 3 of the books at that point. The 3 that had come out.
Your tape glasses
When
are
that-
slipping, Ben. You got to push them back up.
Oh, good for you.
But
There you go.
when the first episode aired, I was like, this theme song kind of sucks. I literally thought that
For what?
for Game of Thrones.
Oh, for fuck's sake!
No, it's like it got to the 3rd episode, and I was just like, okay, this is kind of badass. But for some reason, the first time I listened to it, it didn't resonate. Like the first episode, it didn't resonate with me
Now,
at
what's
all.
funny about that is I watched the first episode with Ben, and I think a little bit of that rubbed off on me. That to me, it sounded like it was trying to be big, but it wasn't big.
That's
for some
right,
reason.
exactly.
That's like making out with the hot Nazi in Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade 4 times before you're like, oh, that was pretty hot.
I mean, that's a weird
I'm sorry,
tangent to
I
go
can't
on.
help
but,
that the hot Nazi was my first crush, you guys.
my
Like, it
God.
just it
All
runs
right.
deep.
Well, Ben,
Still is number one crush.
Ben, what's
All I
something
have
you're
to do
watching
is
right
squeeze.
now that you like?
All I have to do is
I,
scream.
I watch so little. There is a bunch of new stuff that's coming out that I really want to see. But I would probably say the best thing I could talk about is Succession, just because we just finished it. I know I'm saying we because I know that Matt finished it as well.
So what comes next in the Succession?
Well, God damn it. And I think Succession is one of those shows that I'm watching
Yeah, that's right. Let me hear it, y'all.
because it's not a great show. I don't think it's reached the great show pinnacle yet, but the performances and there are moments of writing that are so well done that it sort of elevates the rest of the show.
You
which
like the
sometimes-
order of events that happen in
God damn it.
Succession.
Just stop.
Let him get through it. Give him a chance, Nick.
I've never heard of it.
We're going to put you on mute, Nick. We've never done this before, but this could be really uncomfortable.
I'll be good.
for
I'll be
us.
good. I'll be good.
It's interesting. And the performances, it's a very well cast show. And as a matter of fact, what's the name of the actress?
The Australian one?
Sarah.
Yeah, I don't know her name, but I only know her from
Gilbert.
that.
Silverman.
Well, anyways, it was interesting because I was watching this interview with Ethan Hawke, and Ethan Hawke was in a sci-fi movie with her. That apparently not premonition. Predestination.
Predestination. Yeah.
Premonition. The movie with Sandra Bullock.
Premature ejaculation.
The story of my life.
So, anyways, I've never seen this movie Predestination, and I'm really interested in watching it now. I didn't realize that the Spielberg brothers did that movie.
Yeah.
I kind of remember it when it came out, but he said that her performance. It's not Sarah Bowers, is it? Anyways,
I don't know.
But her, he said that her performance in that was one of the great, like, as a working actor, one of the best performances that he ever. And he said it sucks sometimes when you work in like a genre film, like a sci-fi movie, and it's like kind of completely thankless when somebody completely melts into their role.
Yeah,
and it's just like, yeah, she was good in that, but you don't realize like how good they actually were because it kind of
you can't remember her name in the podcast.
Exactly, because if it's I mean, she's new.
Yeah, she's like she's
young.
She was in that crappy Winchester movie I watched with Brian and Adriana with
Oh, she was in that, huh?
Yeah, it's literally the best cast, worst like B movie I've ever seen.
The reason why is the Spielberg brothers directed that.
Oh, did they did that
I'm
as well?
pretty sure they did. Yeah.
Yeah, it is not a great movie, but it's exceptionally well. I mean, Helen Mirren, Jason Clarke, that Australian lady whose name I don't know.
Right.
It's in young actress. It's in Succession. I watched Succession too, and I remember there were a lot of shitty reviews.
This is a show?
Yeah. It was Brian Cox and Kieran Culkin.
Kieran Culkin. And,
they had all you saw the previews for it on
Love me
HBO.
some Kieran Culkin.
He's great. Everyone is very well cast. It reminds me very much of like watching a play each week.
The thing that sold
Email. Is that fan mail? Is that from one of our new listeners, Matt? Check it.
The thing that sold me on that show was one. NPR gave it a relatively good review and said that it's kind of like Pretty Little is it Pretty Little Liars? Whatever the one.
I hated that show.
Well, no, not Pretty Little Liars. The what's the one where they have the blog or whatever, and it's all the rich people on the Upper West Side. I'm sorry,
Nick.
Anyways.
Do you know the name of this show?
I don't want to talk I want me to be quiet.
All right.
My wife watched this show. It was a super popular show.
Maybe it's in your email list.
Are you talking about the
Gossip Girl? Fucking Gossip Girl.
There
anyway, so they said it was basically the anti-Gossip Girl, where it was all of these people who had all this money and power, but it just completely eats them alive.
Okay.
And I was like, I like the premise of the money and the power eating them alive, and that's what kind of makes it interesting.
It's like the refrain of a Scroll Nut Zippers song.
They're just
money, power, fame.
No, it's a very compellingly fun show to watch. I agree with you that it's not necessarily that it's not a great show, but
yet it could be.
Yeah,
it could become a great show.
I don't know that it needs. I like it for what it is. It's a little goofy. It doesn't ever take itself entirely too seriously. Everything's just a step over the top. Like almost every single moment in it is just overreaching any kind of reality, real world kind of thing.
It kind of reminds me of like Mammoth. dialogue or kind of
It's
like
very much like a play to me.
It's a very stylized dialogue. But anyways, yeah. So I'm enjoying Succession. I'm interested in seeing what they do with it because they said they are, I think, going to do it definitely a second season.
They just started breaking the story for season 2.
Yeah. So I am interested in seeing what happens in season 2 of that, and I will watch that. What about you, Matt?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I just watched the premiere of Better Call Saul.
Well, of course, yeah. I'm watching Better Call. Better Call Saul's my...
Oh, no. I'm going to watch it again, my friend. Don't you worry.
Dare you?
Better Call Saul is my favorite show on TV.
Yeah, but that's me and Matt's show. That's our show.
I can't wait every time you're
our
out of
show.
town.
The end of that episode was so good and so understated.
That was our show.
What do you want me to do?
He makes a big bowl of popcorn, and he sits on one side of the couch. We put up the footrest, and I get on the other side, and we pause it about 37 times to talk about things.
We do
and then
that.
we text Matt's brother to see what he thought of the scene, and we do it. And
I was worried it was going to get spoiled for me. Anyway, I had to watch it.
You want to silence me on the podcast?
You
watch Better Call Saul without me.
You're being maneuvered out. This is your Succession, Nick. Sorry.
And it starts all over again.
I don't
so you can make a Succession joke.
That's right.
Because you're pressing the buttons over in your tower.
In doing it
well,
better.
You just sit in your tower.
I succeeded where you failed with my Succession.
That's a different word.
Sure. Anyway, the open of Better Call Saul, the first 10 minutes is one of the most tense things I've seen.
I'll just have to take your word for it.
No, you'll just have to watch it when I watch it again.
All right, but you better make a big bowl
I
of popcorn.
I really like the last scene too, where you finally see a certain character open up for the first time, and then the response to that is so brilliant.
Yeah, it's a night. Look, this show is anyone that doubts that this is delivering on the promise of being a better, more thinking man's version of Breaking Bad. It's succeeding, and it seems to be succeeding every season doing it.
Yep,
you could say it's a good successor to Breaking Bad.
Where's that cricket drop? Where's that cricket drop?
I don't have a cricket drop.
Hey,
I have a
really? Because it feels like it would be something you would have ready, locked and loaded for me.
But before we get into the topic today, I did have something I would like to broach with you guys.
Oh, your bone to pick.
Oh, it's my bone to pick, and I'm just interested in seeing what you guys think. Did you hear about what the Academy Awards is doing?
No.
I saw a
They
blurb,
decided
but I
to
don't
give
know
Black
what it is.
Panther one Oscar this year.
So I didn't see what it was. I saw that there's big shakeups. What's going on?
Okay, so apparently now the Oscars are adding a category for Best Popular Film.
The Black Panther Award.
Best Picture.
So they can give Black Panther one
and
Oscar
Best
and nothing
Popular
else.
Film. So now...
Wait, Best Popular... Wait, what?
Film.
Blockbuster.
Okay.
Summer popcorn
now,
film.
You can either nominate your film for Best Picture or for Best Popular Picture.
So we now have like a popularity contest and then the Oscars.
Spider-Man Homecoming would have won last year if that was in play.
Do you think so?
Well, I love what... I mean, they're
Spidey's
just
my
being
boy.
absolutely just eviscerated by like movie critics.
It's ridiculous.
And then they just like, oh, and next year, in 2020, we'll look forward to Best On-Screen Kiss. you know?
We
Like it's turning it into and that's exactly what. And before I could even mention anything, my wife said, "Oh, so it's gonna be like the MTV Movie Awards."
Yeah.
Best Michael Caine film. Best Meryl Streep appearance.
And so,
I mean,
but here's
look.
my bone to pick with the Academy is that they think that the reason why their ratings are dropping, and this is a correlated thing. That's the reason why I wanted to bring it up so quickly. There, is that they think that the reason that they're out of touch and that, we need more categories. Oh, by the way, they're also going to give away like the short film categories and documentary categories during commercial and then do a short edited segment later to show when these people got these awards. So now it's going to be a 3-hour thing.
Those are like
Last
the technical
evening,
ones.
last evening
exactly.
at the Technical Short Film Awards. Okay, listen.
By the way, I always love to see who's hosting the technical awards. It's my favorite part of the Oscars is to see what celebrity had to get 2 outfits and then come out in their
Michael
other
Shannon.
outfit.
Well, but last year wasn't it like Kristen?
Welcome to Technical Awards.
What wasn't it like Kristen Bell or something last
It's
year? I mean, it's
always-
like always somebody
it's
right.
always
Gossip
like
Girl
sort of a-
herself.
That's not.
That's not what
That's
the fuck.
Blake
That's
Lively.
Blake Lively.
I've
The
never seen the
narrator
show, and I know that.
of Gossip Girl
Is Kristen Bell?
Kristen Bell.
Ooh, do we go
fuckers.
to the I don't is this true?
Well, you didn't want me to talk
XOXO,
about then, so I didn't want to
Gossip
speak
Girl.
up my mind, but
Really? XOXO Gossip Girl? That's Kristen Bell?
I miss Kristen Bell.
I didn't know that.
Wow, that's some good trivia, Nick. Okay, well, you're not going to be muted anymore.
Oh, well,
Guess
thank
what?
you so
I
very
had
much.
no idea. I've
You've
never
been
watched
muted
a
for the
single
last
episode
30
of
minutes,
that
by
show.
the way.
Oh,
Frozen.
like when my mother calls into the podcast. How dare you? I bring something to this. I'm the loose cannon.
Are you sure
Yeah.
about this trivia you gave us?
Can you just Google it?
I'm interested in
I'm 100%
Anyways,
sure.
So
I'd bet my life
to
on
bring
it.
it back to the actual point, though.
I'd stake my very life.
I think it's ironic that they're like, oh,
I could be wrong.
For 4 straight years, we've had falling ratings. Nobody wants to watch the Oscars. It's all because we're not speaking to the masses, and we haven't updated our platform in a while. I'm just like, first off, there are multiple reasons for that. One, there is a max exodus to TV right now, and a lot of people are watching more TV than they are watching movies.
And also, they're just lame. They're just like it's to me.
Yeah, exactly.
Before you add a new bullshit category, if you have 5 slots for best song, I know we've been through this. Nominate 5 best songs. If you have 10 slots for best picture, nominate 10 movies for best picture. Why don't you fill your empty slots of your already bullshit categories before you add one that also, by the way, is automatically demeaning whoever wins it, because it wasn't best pick. It was submitted under best popcorn Paul Rudd Marvel film of the year, and it's like we could get an Oscar if you know. We want to nominate the Teen Titans Go to the Movies, and it happens to do well one weekend. Like, come on.
I will agree with you that the Oscars have been arbitrary for a while, or at least felt arbitrary. But
So wait, my question is, how are they determining the nominations for most popular film?
you have to either submit for one or
right.
the other.
So it's still just amongst themselves the most popular movie. So it's not solving the fucking problem of what else. How
You're
many?
adding
if there's
another category to add more films.
How many of these old farts are going to fucking nominate Black Panther? Black Panther's not going to get nominated by the Academy, even for best most popular movie.
It probably will. Actually.
Yes, it absolutely 100% will.
You think they'll do that over the Avengers?
My theory is that this category was made for Black Panther. I mean, when you really
It's
think
made
about
for Marvel movies. It's just going to be a budget
I
every
think
year.
it's going to be all of the Marvel. Yeah,
but especially Black Panther.
They might as
People
well just change the entire the entire section is just best Marvel movie of the year.
I don't think that Black Panther deserves Best Picture, but a lot of people believe it deserves to be nominated for Best Picture. And with 10 open slots,
and I don't think any of the Marvel movies deserve Best Picture nominations.
but all I'm saying is it seems like a half-hearted attempt to acknowledge like social phenomenons, but the problem with that is it innately demeans it at the same time.
Exactly.
That's the problem.
Well,
Yeah.
so if I was all right, if I was gonna, let's say that someone just told me, hey, we're doing this with the Academy, and you just need to make up the rules. That's it. It's happening whether you like it or not. Make up the rules. The first rule I would have is it should be the top 10 movies of the year by box office. If it's best, if it's best blockbuster, that's the first thing. Is how do we? What's the criteria? It's not who nominates it, who does whatever on it. Just what are the top 5 or top 10 grossing movies?
That could be fun if you like sneak in to the 10th slot. And you're a better film than the whatever Star Wars movie
if it's
it was,
last
or whatever.
year and you're Get Out, but Get Out got legitimate nominations last year, even though it was much more of a popular movie than it was on the side of Oscar winning. Even though it won,
you also
it won.
yield on the side where you have the movies that are the biggest movies of the year that win Best Picture: Titanic, Return of the King.
Exactly.
Like all.
Well, I
those
wonder how
types of
many. So
movies.
can they only nominate themselves in one area?
Yes. So you can either get nominated
That's
for
kind
one
of
or the other. That's why I was
fun.
saying
I like this.
you have to submit
now I
for one
like,
or the other.
Now I kind of like the Machiavellian thing that's going to have to go on among the producers now.
The Academy's
of
not
how
that
they
smart.
of how they nominate. That's going to be really interesting. Not this year. This year doesn't seem to have any big picture grossing ones that I think would
Like
have gotten
Mission
legitimate.
Impossible Fallout.
Now
Civil
Fallout
War,
should get it. Now I would love to see Fallout.
This is the first year that they do it. Fallout's going to get a nomination. It's going to be one of the 5.
But see, this is my problem
I
with
kind
it.
of like that. I don't hate that.
Same.
I don't hate that. I know I'm in the minority in this room on that. I don't hate it.
What do we always talk about? Horror films don't get nominated for Best Picture. Comedies don't get nominated for Best Picture. What's next? They used to have Best Comedy Score and Best Dramedy Score.
Blockers is going to be nominated.
Yes.
I just watched that movie. It was pretty good.
It is pretty good, right?
I really liked that
I
movie.
thought it was kind of funny.
The girl...
Our friend Bill Prasad worked in that movie.
Yes, I know.
did you? Pamela Adlin's daughter. I didn't know it was Pamela Adlin who does that show on FX, but her daughter is the lesbian daughter. And I was watching the whole movie like, this girl's really freaking good. Of course, she's the daughter of an actress that's been working for 30 years doing voice work and whatever.
Pamela Adlin, her show's kind of a black comedy, isn't it?
Yeah. And her kid was in it. I didn't know what episode. I recognize it, but anyway, okay. So I want to talk more about this awards thing. So maybe we need to have an awards podcast to really.
Well, I think that'll
that.
come around, especially as there's more clarity that's going to be shed on this, because they just announced this today. I have a feeling there's going to be some tweakage going on, because there's a little bit. There is not the positive, kind of response that I think that they maybe were anticipating, and there's a lot of backlash. So I think that they're probably going to end up tweaking this format somehow. I'm not totally against. See, the one thing I like about the Golden Globes, the one thing I like.
Well, I will definitely judge that category.
The only thing I like about the Golden Globes over the Oscars is because
Lifetime Achievement, Elizabeth Berkley and Kyle MacLachlan and Showgirls.
You can shit on the Academy, but the Hollywood Foreign Press is a fucking joke. But anyways, I do like the fact that they split into categories, and they say Best Musical or Comedy and Best Dramatic Film,
which then they destroyed by allowing movies to slide into categories that don't belong.
But
slide into the DMs.
But the concept is good, and the reason why is because when it comes to what your traditional Best Picture lineup is, it's usually going to be chock full of dramas. You're not going to give a comedy. Typically, you're not going to give a comedy unless it's just, has either some really, really, obvious artistic merit, or it
has one really impressive performance in it, which is usually what happens with
Joan Cusack.
Yeah, exactly.
Here's the thing. I do understand in a way it could be a chance to give deserving films who wouldn't get that credit or that spotlight.
That's not the right mechanism.
But
to do that.
it's not. It reeks of like a participation trophy.
I agree.
I
agree. I would say, you know what? You should start opening up. And that's the whole thing, is like, why did you open up to 10? Why did you start expanding the category? Why did you not do that so you could include studio movies that do really well? And I think they've done kind of they have snuck in like the Get Outs and stuff, a few other films that I think have done really well box office wise and made a ton of movies.
Snuck them in. No, I think I have liked the changes with the Academy. I know you didn't like the opening up of 10 categories.
No, Nick didn't like it. Okay. I don't mind.
I understand why you don't like it, that they don't fill them up, which I agree with. I agree with that.
Make it 5 and fill it, or make it 10 and fill it. Don't make it open to 10 and nominate 8.
I agree with that. It should just go through your number of votes, and whatever has the top 10 votes.
Now, Matt, before we run to the topic at hand, what would be your nomination for whatever the fuck this Oscar is
for this year?
Yeah,
or just in general? No. Well, I mean, I think in general this year I don't have any. I mean, I love the Mission Impossible. I mean, it really
Fallout.
did. It was super fun.
Is the best
it's
one.
A good thinking person's.
Has it made a lot of money?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's everyone in it brings their A. No one phones it in. Same as a Marvel movie, though. I mean,
does the Church of Scientology also get an Oscar?
It really is an equivalent to a Marvel film where it's just like there's a lot of effort that has gone into this.
Everyone kept saying it, and it's entirely true. It's Skyfall. It's the Skyfall of the Mission Impossible series. It's the highest elevated, most
artistic,
firing on all elements kind of movie in the series.
Doesn't have a theme song by Adele, so I don't know
it doesn't. But it has a score by Michael Giacchino, which I will say is always a good thing.
Yes, that's always a good thing.
But yeah, I don't know that this year I have.
Is Giacchino or Giacchino?
Giacchino. I always say it wrong.
Okay.
Sorry. I love him, but I say his name wrong.
Give Michael his due.
No, I mean, there are other years, though, when we talk about comedies.
Well, listen, hey, it's right. It's going to be, I mean, this year.
It's Marvel versus Mission Impossible.
Versus The Meg.
Oh, versus, we have Incredibles 2.
Yeah,
which
that's-
could definitely
but
be a dark
Incredibles
horse.
2 is going to win Best Animated, probably.
Yeah, that's true. That's right. So they only get one shot. So that takes
Animated,
that one
and,
out of
and
there.
it's a slam dunk.
I mean, what are the other big movies as far as probably it's going to be Black Panther versus Infinity War versus Mission Impossible.
Was there a Saw or Human Centipede film this year?
No, there's a Mary Poppins movie.
And there's Harry Potter.
Do you think there's a new Harry Potter, which would be pretty awesome to see get some love?
You like Harry Potter, Matt?
I do like Harry Potter. And what's interesting is that it's going to literally be like 7 Disney properties versus 3 like
And one
underdog studios like Sony
And
or
one from
Warner
Netflix.
Brothers.
Right.
It's going to be kind of crazy, but wow, that's insane.
Anyways, well,
That's all the time we have, folks. Thanks for tuning in. If you're a new listener to the New Way Podcast.
We went a little bit longer on that first one, but that's okay. We tend to do that sometimes around here. So, the topic tonight is
That was like a Conan monologue.
a little bit
Long, occasionally funny,
funny.
but ultimately just dragging on a little too long.
dragging
too
along a
long.
little bit. So we wanted to discuss black comedies, dark comedies.
God
so we
damn
really
it.
want to talk about the movie The Wood, the 2004 film The Wood, starring Taye Diggs.
So after Ben,
Matt saw my eyes get big and immediately broke. Like, oh, I better rectify this immediately.
So Ben missed a question about Medea. I missed a question about white chicks. So we decided we're going to do black comedies tonight because we really need to get back in touch with what's going on out there.
No, I think we're talking about dark comedies here. Somebody call John Arthur right now and get him on the phone.
It's John. We're so sorry. John's just like, come on, man.
But
fuck?
only to John.
Well, John's our liaison. Okay, all right. So, all right. So,
Do you want another sip of pumpkin spice beer?
so we want to talk about.
I'm going to invite Sean on the podcast.
Okay, wow, that is amazing. So we want to talk about dark comedies. It's going to be difficult to get through the rest of this. The first question I think that we need to discuss is.
We'll also be talking about clapping when the plane
Oh,
lands.
God.
Oh no! Really? Come
White
on,
pizza, white people
now.
thing.
All
Yeah,
right, okay. So Nick,
Yes.
what's a characteristic? What do you think defines a dark comedy? What makes something a dark comedy to you?
I have 3 kind of different versions of a dark comedy, right? You have... There it is. There it is. We warned you.
Angel Wings.
Did it have 2 tabs? That was...
Yeah.
I just want to
Wow.
get the first was just to the tip, and then I went all the way.
All right. So,
2 angels.
when angels deserve to die,
Two
the
angels.
Serge Tankman spin.
2 angels.
All right. So you got sort of the slapstick dark comedy that I would put the Cable Guy in that category.
Okay.
Real interesting tone. Clearly goofy, but undeniably dark. And then you have the quirky dark comedy like Grand Budapest Hotel or Election.
Okay.
And then you have the dark comedy, which would be, your Fargos, your American Psycho. I think that pretty much covers the breadth, because the thing about dark comedies
So ultra
it's very
violent.
It's very well, not everything. No.
Well, I was
Well,
gonna
I'd
say,
say
what-
that dark comedy is ultra violent. Is what I'm saying. It's like
Not necessarily. It just nothing is played for a laugh. It's funny because it's uncomfortable, or the situation, or the character, but it's never played for a laugh. Whereas in Cable
So
Guy,
Coen
there are plenty
Brothers.
of lines that are played for a laugh, and even Election. But the Coen Brothers, I think, while they had those lines, a lot of the funniest parts and a lot of the scenes that are quintessential to classifying it as a dark comedy are really just characters in a situation that's uncomfortable and awkward
or
and
fucking up,
funny to
or
us.
something.
Yeah.
You know,
Okay.
with terrible repercussions.
Right. Right.
What about you, Ben? What are your criteria for dark comedy?
But it's not too dissimilar from Nick's, and actually, although my thing is I disqualify a lot of movies. It's funny because in my only prep I did, I was just like, okay, I want to go, because I picked some movies, I threw them down, and then I was like, I want to see if these, and I thought I picked one that was like, nobody's going to mention this. Of course, it was on
Trolls?
everybody's fucking list.
Is it Trolls starring Anna Kendrick and Justin Timberlake?
Yes, dark comedy. They all die.
Tune into last week's episode to get that reference.
But anyways, no. so I got pissed off because one of the ones I picked, I was just like, it's on everybody's fucking list, and how am I gonna reconcile that? But
my God, you did something that other people did.
like.
You sheep.
I'm not the most. It's not the smartest one in the room.
You're a sheep.
But I think that what to me defines a dark comedy is where
It's Nick Cage.
is typically where the intentions of characters are bad, and bad repercussions tend to occur to characters throughout the course of the narrative. However, they are framed in a sense where it makes the viewer laugh, and whatever the mechanism of that may be, whether it's a like I said, slapstick or whatever. But there are lots of movies I feel like that are kind of more parody than other things. Mm-hmm. I'll mention one. I don't want to step on anybody's toes.
And
but
by the way, feel free to mention it. Well, if someone wants to talk more about it, talk more about it.
So one movie that kept on popping up on a bunch of people's lists as a dark comedy is Shaun of the Dead. I do not think Shaun of the Dead's a dark comedy.
Straight comedy.
I completely agree with you. No, it's a horror comedy. It's a
horror,
genre mashup. It's not
a genre mashup.
It's a straight comedy.
It's not a dark comedy.
Now, if you pick between comedy or horror, where do you put it?
Comedy.
Yeah. It's comedy,
100%.
straight comedy.
But it's also a parody because it parodies,
It sure does.
So, anyways, I was so surprised that showed up on a bunch of lists. So, of course, when I asked my wife what her favorite dark comedy, she was like, "Well, what really defines dark comedy?" So she looked up lists. She was like, "Well,
what does Beth think of
so she
Shaun
said,
of the Dead?"
Based off this list, my favorite dark comedy is Shaun of the Dead. And I was like, "Well, I don't think that Shaun of the Dead's a dark comedy. I think it's a comedy." And she was like, well, I guess I kind of get that or whatever. And she was like, well, probably my second favorite, and this blew my fucking mind, Delicatessen.
Yeah.
And I was like, well,
That's on my
Delicatessen...
list. That was on my list.
Delicatessen is a dark comedy, directed by one of my favorite directors of all time. And a very acute dark comedy.
You can share that director's name with the
Weird
audience.
Jean-Pierre Jeunet.
There we go.
Is the name of that director. But anyways,
Italian?
Listen, Ben, when we monetize this podcast, all of these references need to be able to link to something, all right? I just got to say these names.
All I was trying to illustrate is that there's a pretty broad spectrum about what makes a dark comedy, and so like Matt, what do you classify?
No, you first of all, you hit on the one exactly that I put in my list of. I saw it on every list and I don't agree that it's dark comedy, which is Shaun of the Dead.
No way.
I think one of the most defining characteristics of a dark comedy. It's sitting right there. I just can't get the letter fast enough to do the soundboard. But anyway,
what does Beth think of blank? ...
If she was on B, I would be able to do it. But, no, I think a dark comedy is when they take something that shouldn't be comedic, or that is right. Maybe taboo or uncomfortable, and that's why you're laughing at it. You're laughing at the absurdity of the situation. Now, I think you have some merit when you say that oftentimes that is violence, and that is true in a lot of movies. I would say there's other movies, like a movie like Happiness, where it's just awful, terrible, uncomfortable things that are happening between characters and motivations. They're not necessarily violent, but they're terrible.
Forever.
Yeah.
Don't worry, Matt. I'm not going to finish that line.
No. Happiness, if we've brought it up in the podcast before, I'm going to bring up another one that is probably the most this movie has ever been talked about is on this podcast, and I maybe on your list, I don't know. But I think that it's interesting. So you kind of just broke down into, I'm looking at Nick, the kind of the different genres of dark comedies, which can be the slapstick, and you can decide whether or not... I think Cable Guy is a dark comedy. I don't know that it's necessarily slapstick, because do you say that Three Stooges are dark comedy because it's bad things happening to people, but it's done, but you're laughing at it?
I think slapstick is probably a broad generalization, but I kind of agree with Nick.
He put the skin of the chicken on his face.
Yes.
That's slapstick.
That is funny.
But the thing is he was a slapstick character where everything around him was kind of normal.
Right. But here's the other thing. Now I kind of misunderstood your question. This quality doesn't classify something as a dark comedy.
Okay.
But one thing that I think is really interesting about at least the dark comedies, in my opinion, that are done really, really well, is that there is a consistent tone. Now, different genres and different movies can effectively change tone.
Right.
But for a dark comedy, whether it's slapstick or whether it's straight up dark, for that movie to be successful, for me, it really has to successfully carry a certain. It has to commit basically and carry that tone from beginning to end for it to be successful. And I think my favorite dark comedy of all time is Bad Santa, and not a lot of violence in that. But it is a consistent tone. The characters, we know exactly who they are. They're all despicable, for the exception of the kid. And
we have some, and he's the only one that's able to bring out emotion.
You could even argue that that was Terry Zwigoff who directed that movie, and Terry Zwigoff also directed Ghost World, which is actually a very I think it's considered.
I'd put that in the quirky Wes Anderson dark comedy
sort of.
No, I 100% agree. And I think you hit
depressing on American Splendor. You could even argue if you're getting there.
Absolutely,
so you hit on the second thing. I think is what I would call disqualify. So Ben hit on the first one, which is. Just because it's a genre mashup doesn't make it a dark comedy.
Like a bunch of another one that came up was Evil Dead, and all the Evil Dead movies are genre mashup horror comedies.
Ghostbusters?
No, not a dark comedy.
No. Gremlins?
No, not a dark comedy. To me.
One dark scene where Phoebe Cates has her monologue, and then other than that, no.
And see, the monologue is what makes me turn that movie.
But again, that's a tonal shift.
It is,
and it's not like the rest of the movie. That's why it hits you over the head, and it's not why I would maybe give it the nod.
And I agree with
Nick.
Let
me call Chris Columbus.
No. I think Chris Columbus' original script where the mom's head rolls down the stairs kind of keeps that tone a little bit more. He wrote it.
Oh, did Joe Dante do the first one or the second one? Did he do any of them?
Joe Dante directed both. Second ones,
the goofy one.
Yeah, Joe Dante did both.
I thought he did too.
Who did the first Gremlins?
The new batch.
The first Gremlins. Joe Dante definitely directed the second Gremlins.
Right. He directed both of them because he's got Dick Miller in it. Yeah. He's got Dick Miller's in all his movies.
Director of Looney Tunes back in action.
Yeah, so I think tone shifts also are disqualifications for it. So like
you think? Because I wasn't necessarily saying that.
No. Because
the best ones are.
So Girl Next Door is a movie I'm always kind of fascinated with, right? Because it has a turn in it with the Timothy Olyphant character that goes dark from like 0 to 60 in one scene. None of the rest of the movie feels like that.
Right.
Well, so everything else is played very light, but it's got one scene, and I think that's just the director playing with tone and saying, "Hey, we want to remind you there are real stakes." I think it's a tone shift. I don't think it makes it a dark comedy.
I agree.
Yeah.
I think if we're gonna make rules about it, I mean, you could argue that one, but. All right, so Nick,
are we going into TV at all, or just movies?
Well, we can talk about TV. We can discuss it a little bit.
Well, but
before we finish, I want to get back to that.
Yeah. So I think a question I would have for you: what is like the first time you remember, maybe the first dark comedy you saw, or the first time you knew there was a difference between Looney Tunes and the other funny things, and there was something that had a little bit of an edge to it.
Well, yeah. Okay, so it's not a dark comedy, but. This totally fills that setup.
Okay.
Howard the Duck was so subversive. So subversive, in fact, do you know my Howard the Duck story, Ben? Did I tell you this before?
This is that's a tonally incorrect movie.
Well, that's very true. But I had two favorite movies as a kid: Howard the Duck and Weird Al Yankovic's UHF. So for my birthday sleepover party, you have sleepover parties in your
okay.
Oh, of course.
That was like the go-to. Yeah, yeah. You don't normally plan them like I used to plan them for my birthday. Or
people just passing out on my couch, but it's still a sleepover,
and it's still a party.
Totally counts.
It's still a party.
But I remember I went to the old. It was called Voice of Video. It was the independent video chain in Towson. My dad took me to get any two videos that were PG-13 or under, no R.
Blessed days.
And so I picked UHF, of course, and Howard the Duck, which was PG actually when it came out. By the way.
That movie should be rated NC-17.
However, after my mother had dutifully brought down the 3 large pepperoni pizzas and the squirt and ice, the Mountain Dew. She left, and we popped in Howard the Duck first. And my mom did the classic mom move where 5 minutes later she goes, "Oh, and one more thing, we also have duck movies." And she grabbed the tape out of the deck so fast. She was not kind. She did not rewind. Both cassettes went back in the case, and we just sat around and
did it mirror the part where the VHS ejects from his player in the movie when he's being apprehended by the Dark Lord?
I am the Dark Overlord. He really was, as it turned out.
Yeah, he was the Dark Overlord.
Talk about dark.
Ben, what was kind of an early time that you remembered hearing of this idea that there were comedies that had like another level.
Well, so one of my favorite movies ever since I was a kid was The Graduate, which is kind of a dark comedy, but I don't really consider it personally a dark comedy to me. I consider it more of a drama, but with very
life is dark
with dark comedic beats.
I will say, you know what? I will say there's one scene that, because I saw that on a bunch of lists, and I fought against it a lot. But I think
plastics.
I think the scene in the strip club where the strippers behind, he brings a girl to the strip club because he's trying to turn her off and make him to be an asshole, and there's a woman behind her shaking the tassels on her, and he goes, "You're missing an amazing effect." Which makes it to me a little bit of a dark comedy.
There are very, very definitely like dark comic elements to that.
But who thinks bringing a date to a strip club is a way to turn them off? I'm confused.
I can tell you the movie that gave me a hard on for dark comedy.
Oh my god!
All right,
which is that. Because I was always just like, no, I mean a figurative hard on, not a literal hard on. Come on.
I love it.
I bet you do.
But no, dude, I'm telling you, man, 1997, when I saw Grosse Point Blank, I was just like, I fucking love this movie. And I
So to clarify, you did get an erection, though, to be fair.
No, I don't think I did.
Did I correctly assume that was would be one of the three on your list?
No.
Really? I was positive you were going to do
Well, no, the reason why is because I automatically disqualified it. And the reason why is because I can bring it up that quickly and just say it meant a lot to me when I saw it. I love that movie. I think it's brilliantly written. It's Steve Pink, John Cusack, a consortium of guys that were obviously just kind of trying to one-up clever one another, just being like, what could be the funniest or most clever line we could throw in here, while putting it in this super ultra-violent kind of context with a shootout scene at the end of the movie that's 15 minutes long and is just completely batshit bananas crazy. It has one of the funniest Dan Aykroyd performances probably in his career. I fucking love that movie. But when I saw it, I was just like, oh shit, like, there is this whole sort of subgenre that I completely kind of ignored. Mm-hmm. And it has some of those elements of stuff I love from like The Graduate or another movie I'm going to mention that I didn't realize was really a dark comedy until after I kind of started putting things together. But and liking like stuff like Doctor Strangelove, that's another one that pops up, which is a dark comedy, I think. But I love that movie a lot, and it definitely kind of turned me on to the genre and made me appreciate some of the stuff that came a lot later, which I'm sure there are probably going to be movies that we talk about that were definitely kind of correlated to that.
The genre he's talking about is actually the soundtrack, the ska covers of reggae songs.
Hey, listen, by the way, there were two albums.
Genre.
There were two albums for Grosse Point Blank had such a great soundtrack.
Well, they covered Jimmy Cliff's How Do They Come? How Do They Fall, right?
Well, I mean, it was all stuff from it was their 10-year reunion, so it was all 86, 87.
What happened to Ben when he watched the movie. It was the harder he came and the harder he fell.
No, the Jimmy Cliff movie is a cover of that soundtrack.
I have no idea.
I know.
Pressure drop, pressure's gonna drop on you. No,
I don't know.
Although it did.
Are you looking at me for the music question?
I didn't realize that like
remember who won the music round last time?
Matt, ska covers of reggae songs. Come on.
I didn't realize.
Here we go.
So, anyways, I realized two things.
That's right.
I realized two things very quickly actually around that time. One, John Cusack really likes dark comedies because he's in a lot of them. The Grifters, Grosse Point Blank,
Grifters.
the Edgar Allan Poe, High Fidelity. I would consider a dark comedy. I consider it a dark comedy.
I consider that a romantic comedy.
Where's that buzzer sound effect?
The whole thing.
I took it off. Sorry.
Oh, God damn
I mean, it centers around a lot of like depression and death. I mean, just all sorts of stuff. I feel like it's a dark comedy that wears it's a dark comedy that wears the skin of a romantic comedy.
I'll give you that because I think Eternal Sunshine is where I put it as a dark comedy, which is also a romantic.
Yeah, it's a romantic comedy.
Yeah.
Exactly, same thing. Wearing a wolf skin, essentially. The other thing I realized is that
not a lamb skin.
So
a nice soft lamb.
This is something, and we can talk about this as long as you want to. But I just made kind of one brief recollection over all of the movies that I like that are dark comedies. Dark comedies are not financially lucrative. They always fail.
God, no.
They always fail.
Yeah.
And I'm talking about like when we even have major motion picture directors, people who are famous, people who have so much
They tend
cachet.
to find some legs eventually or become cult hits.
Exactly.
But
they
they're
Mars
always
Attacks
have
is kind of a dark
legs.
comedy.
What's that?
Slapstick. Mars Attacks is kind of a dark comedy.
A little.
A lot of people die.
I mean, it's not financially successful though.
Well, that's true.
No, I would say that if you're going to do it by that, so for me, Heathers was the first time I became aware of a genre of dark comedy. So it was something that was played at the house. I was a little too young probably to be watching, but I still watched. I was Christian Slater and Winona Ryder and a young Shannon Doherty. Like I was interested in it, and I'm like, this isn't a funny movie. Like there are things that are happening that are making me sort of laugh, but it's like a bunch of people just killing people. It's a really dark. Like, it's a dark movie.
One of the biggest laughs is I love my dead gay son. That's one of the biggest laughs of Heather. So yeah, that's a good
that was
example.
where it first popped onto my radar.
That makes sense.
So all right, so Nick, so what are the ones that you want to name a movie that you want to kind of discuss a little bit?
Before we even talk about the ones we want to discuss, I was going to say, could we talk about? Sorry to cut you off.
Wow.
But I actually first wanted to maybe go through the movies that
I am shook.
If there were any that you had that maybe you didn't think worked, like ones that in the past, because I had a couple that I immediately thought
Actually,
of.
I kind of want to hear yours because I know it when I see them, but I couldn't recall any of them that I felt like, oh, they were trying to do this, but they didn't do it well, and I needed a little more time to do it. But what do you have that you feel didn't work?
Do you guys remember the 1991 movie with Christian Slater, Cuffs?
Gleaming the Cube? Oh,
The Wizard?
I have seen Cuffs, but I don't remember it.
Okay, well, so I had no idea that the guy who directed Cuffs has directed one movie since then, which is the 2007 movie Mr. Brooks with Mr. Kevin Costner, which I actually really
where
like.
he's the serial killer.
Yeah, where he's the serial killer. And I actually really like that movie.
Of course, it's Kevin Costner.
He also wrote Starman. He wrote the guy who
I love
directed
Starman.
Yeah, I love that movie too. He did the story for like Cutthroat Island or something else like that. I mean, I was just
That killed pirate movies for like a decade.
long time. Well, actually, there were no pirate movies that had come previous to that for like 10 years.
But it was going to bring them back, and then
it was going to bring them back,
right
and
away.
it killed them. But Cuffs was one of those movies where it's just like, oh, it's this kind of hard-boiled detective, but he breaks the fourth wall, talks to the audience, does the Ferris Bueller thing. Oh, well, but it's during the middle of like action sequences and stuff like that, and he's trying to like wisecrack and whatever.
It's not good.
It was a combination of about 3 different mechanisms in the context of a hard-boiled detective story. That's pretty much one of the worst movies I've ever seen. It's absolutely god awful.
I prefer Finger Cuffs,
And the only other
sequel.
thing I wanted to bring up was Dark Star, which was John Carpenter's first movie.
Quarterback of the Green Bay Packers? First Super Bowl?
Have you guys never seen Dark Star?
I have not, and that was an
Dark
amazing
Star.
Bart. That was an amazing
Dark
Bart Star call out on there. I've got to say, that was actually pretty impressive.
Thank you, Matt. Someone appreciates it when I give input to the podcast.
So, just so you know, Dark Star was John Carpenter's first feature film before Assault on Precinct 13. And it's a parody.
There'll be a test on this
it
next
falls
week,
into the
readers.
slapstick
Dear
territory.
readers.
It's about like this crew on this. It's really super low budget. About this crew on like a shuttle mission, and they have to destroy these stars and like in.
Are they dark stars?
They're dark stars.
Okay.
They have to destroy stars in different solar systems that they're about to colonize because they're unstable.
Ben,
So it's like The Thing, only instead of Alaska, it's space, and instead of crazy
But it's a comedy.
alien...
no, Ben. The premise was dark comedies, not dark star comedies. I think I know it's confusing, but it's fine. We'll get it okay next time. No, I don't know this movie. I don't think, and I would be hard pressed to say I could spend $1 million promoting this podcast. I don't know that I can find more than 5 other people that know this.
I feel like a lot.
You're not spending upwards
I
from $1
feel
million?
like I feel like a lot of people saw that movie
Dark
eventually.
Star? Who's in it?
Nobody.
There we go.
It was
Alias
John
Coteus.
It was directed by John fucking Carpenter.
Yeah. That doesn't mean it's good.
It's not good.
Or known.
So essentially, here's what. Listen, I wasn't going to spend that long dwelling on this fucking movie. Here's what it is. It's a parody of 2001.
In her first theatrical
Okay.
role,
It's
Bjork.
It's basically a parody of 2001 mishmash with like some of the darker elements of like one of his escape
Okay.
movies.
And it's not good. It doesn't work.
It doesn't work.
Okay.
But the thing is John Carpenter went on to do Big Trouble in Little China,
Sure.
some other movies that you could maybe consider kind of dark comedies.
Halloween.
Halloween.
Videodrome. No, that's still thrilling.
They Live.
They live.
They Live
Yeah.
is a dark comedy.
I can see that. I can see that. Okay, so Nick,
Get those Google Analytics. All of our new listeners. Dark Star
there's gonna be
Google's
some-
gonna go through the roof tomorrow.
Listen, I'm gonna play up the audience for anyone that's ever seen that movie on Facebook to get some listeners on this one.
I'll buy a beer
"Finally."
for anybody who's seen Dark Star.
Well, Greg's gonna go
domestic.
just watch that movie. Domestic or
Nothing imported. Oh,
Ooh, that's a good one. All right, Nick.
Speaking of nothing imported.
Nick, lay a dark comedy on us.
Well, I was actually gonna go TV real quick.
Okay, sure.
My favorite show of all time, I think, really super qualifies. And
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
well, is live action television series.
Boy Meets World.
All right, second favorite live action television series, 6 Feet Under. Now
Yeah, it qualifies.
they had
for
to
sure.
get their legs under them. The dark comedy wasn't so dialed in with those fake mortuary commercials in the pilot episode, but they found their footing. And I mean, if you go back to the tonal thing, how difficult it truly is, no matter what film genre you're making, to create a really immersive tone that stays consistent.
Sure.
How difficult that is, and especially for a dark comedy to be successful, it really needs that consistency through every season. And you can say a season was weaker than the other. I know Ben will chime in on that one, but the tone was super consistent. It was consistently funny, but it was consistently dark, and at the same time, the whole point of that is we're going to give you an hour of kind of dark drama with a lot of characters that are going through a lot of shit, but you're going to laugh, and it's ultimately life-affirming. So, I mean, talk about an ambitious dark comedy. That might be the most ambitious one that I can think of.
Who was the creator of the show?
Alan Ball.
And what else does he do?
Alan suck my
American
balls.
Beauty, Ben's first choice for dark comedy.
Not really.
Well, that's on the list, right?
No.
No. Alan Ball specializes in dark comedies. That's what he does.
Florida State alum.
If you consider American
Really?
Beauty a dark comedy,
Well, I don't know if did he graduate?
True Blood definitely.
Did he
has
graduate
dark
Florida State
comedy.
Film School, or did he just went? Didn't he go to Florida State? Or not film school, but he went to Florida State, didn't he?
He went. Alan Ball?
Didn't he?
No.
And True Blood, I don't even know. I don't even know if I can consider that dark comedy or just like
I think it's dark comedy.
slapstick.
And I don't want to.
No, that's interesting. What about you, Ben? You have a.
Well, I'll tell you one that the one that I thought wouldn't pop up anywhere, that I thought I was being very subversive and interested in talking about, was the 1998 Peter Berg film Very Bad Things. I fucking love that movie.
Yeah, good call. Oh, real quick, if I can just interject. Alan Ball, 2 colleges listed.
FSU and what else?
Guess.
Georgia.
Yep.
That's
Wow.
A regular Ben Wilson, that Alan Ball.
funny. Wow.
But keep going, please.
Wait a minute. Have you ever seen Ben Wilson and Alan Ball in a room fucking the same guy at the same time? I haven't.
That's how he does
Wow.
have a thing for redheads.
And that
just
was
like
your
Alan
dark
Ball.
comedy example for the podcast.
It's the
No,
redheads.
anyways,
man.
the 1998.
It's the redheads. What are your feelings on Lauren Ambrose?
Just remember back in
not you,
1998 when
Matt.
Peter Berg was actually like an interesting young director, and an actor at the time.
Solinger worked for
Peter Berg?
Peter Berg, yeah.
Do you like him?
I think so.
People seem to really like him and really like working with him. I mean,
He
obviously
was on the Kingdom.
him and Mark Wahlberg do everything.
I find
together
him.
now.
I find him hit and miss, but I still like stuff he does now.
He's like a cool
Occasionally.
Ratner.
He's like a cool rat.
It's a pro, but he's
He's
cool,
capable
apparently.
of better, but he doesn't mind just being like, "Hey, I'm gonna go Michael Bay it for a day and do a movie
Right.
like that," and that's kind of his.
Well, so I still remember the thing that sold me on that was back in 1998. I saw him on Letterman, and somebody was just like,
And he invited you backstage and just sparked spoil.
no. But he was on Letterman, and Letterman was just like, well, so this movie is not for everybody, and he was just like, well, there are people who go to a restaurant and they order the same thing every time, and there's somebody who goes and just says, you know what, I want to order the weirdest thing ever, and I want you to make it as spicy as you possibly fucking can. And he goes, this movie is for people who like that spicy food. And I was just like, I'm interested, I'm in. So I went to see it with sort of some sort of baseline level of this is going to be kind of fucked up, and was completely pleased with how fucked up it got, because I've never seen a movie turn on a dime so quickly as it does in that movie. Simple Plan maybe second, very close there. Same year.
Yeah, and I think a Simple Plan for me is such a much more enjoyable dark. I
would say Simple Plan's a better movie. The only reason I'm bringing up Very Bad Things is because of the glee that I think Peter Berg kind of attacks it with, because once it hits that turn, it just turns into fucking...
Well, Slater is Berg in that. Yeah.
It turns into bananas. and it's just so off the rails and so over the top that it's just like, okay, this is basically the parody of a dark comedy.
Well, watered down version of that, Suicide Kings.
Suicide King, I love. And
absolutely.
Suicide Kings, I love.
I do too.
So Very Bad Things is famous with my old group of friends that may listen to this.
We don't talk about them anymore.
Hated Very Bad Thing. I've never finished Very Bad Things, and it's not due to subject matter or tonal shifts. It's Daniel Stern in the scene in the parking lot with the car where he's screaming and losing his shit for what feels like an eternity, to the point at which I'm like, I can't handle these people anymore. I have to turn this off. Now, that is an effective piece of filmmaking in and of itself.
Right, it is.
To put you in that. But I
If
literally...
it's an art installation.
I got to the point I'm like, I don't want to be around any of these human beings anymore. I can't stand that.
It's Always Sunny was a hit. That's a dark comedy too.
So 100% correct. I don't know what it was about that movie, but it needled into my brain to the point I'm like, I cannot do this anymore.
So the only person that's worth rooting for in the entire movie is Jon Favreau, who's the groom. And at the end of the movie, you're like, oh, like there's the last scene of the movie is so terrible and just so you're just like, I hate everyone in this movie. Nobody has a single redeeming fucking quality, and yet you know what? Because it was so overdone and so gleefully overdone, I'm just like, you know what? I fucking loved it. I really liked it. I was one of the few people that saw that movie in the theater that made like $4 million domestically.
I really...
Was the ending as good as this week's Better Call Saul, Matt? Or should I say Judas?
All right. No, I really need to revisit that movie, mainly because I do... I read the same thing about Succession. Why would you watch a show? Everyone is a terrible, horrible human being.
They're all terrible.
And I love watching them. I love every moment of it.
Execution, man. Execution.
It's something about Very Bad Things, which I think may be a testament to it, that it hits so close to people I knew. They're just like, I can't fucking deal with this anymore.
I got a couple last ones to mention there.
What do you have? Well, first let Matt go.
Would I be allowed to do one?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I have no experience getting passed over to give an answer today.
I'll get. Jesus Christ!
Wow.
And it was your fault,
angry
Ben.
Today.
It was your fault. You did it.
I was trying to.
It's on tape, Ben.
Children. Enough.
All right.
I'll get through my other ones.
But I
really
should
fast.
notice that with Nick's beard growing in, he's getting kind of the Cavill mustache from
I
from
shaved
Mission
it.
Impossible. A little bit.
I shaved it because of Cavill.
Yeah,
I did.
kinda
He's turning evil.
It's stubble. It's stubble with a more pronounced
But what if you get
mustache.
asked back to
He's
your other
turning into the-
podcast for reshoots when they need to re-record?
He's
things?
turning into the Hammer.
The Hebrew Hammer, Comedy Central,
the
dark
Hebrew Hammer
comedy.
is a great dark comedy. So I want to bring up one in honor of the poor man going through a lot of shit right now, which is Super, directed by James Gunn, which is 100% hardcore dark comedy.
It's about as dark as you can get.
I mean, to the point of depressing. And
If you don't count his tweets.
yeah, exactly. And Super, we talked about a little bit on a couple podcasts ago, but it's Rainn Wilson plays a man that decides he's had enough with the crime in the city. He's going to dress up in this shoddy superhero outfit, very similar to Kick-Ass, except Kick-Ass has the he can't feel pain, power. Whereas this guy is just a guy that's kind of lost his screw, and he gets a sidekick played by Ellen Page. But it is super dark. But then there are also things like Nathan Fillion as the Christian superhero that they're watching on TV during it. But it is I highly
Bible
recommend.
Man is the only true religious superhero. Google
I would totally recommend you watch it. It's while it is dark, it is filled with James Gunn dialogue and an awesome villain performance by Kevin Bacon.
Yes,
which I can never.
He's fantastic.
I cannot underestimate the fact that Kevin Bacon has never turned in a bad performance in a movie in his
fucking
life.
love that guy.
Kevin Bacon is the unsung hero of every movie that's a Kevin Bacon movie, no matter how big or small his role is in it.
Except for Diner, that's Gutenberg.
It's never Gutenberg.
Diner is Gutenberg.
It's never Gutenberg.
It is sometimes Gutenberg.
That's
Who
all.
also appears in Party Down, one of the best episodes.
It's all Paul Reiser, and you know it.
All right.
He is great in Party Down.
He is pretty good.
So what were the other ones you were going to mention?
Well, I think we'd be remiss. I think that if I had to pinpoint the OG of the current modern day dark comedy being talked about, getting reviewed well, but still
Can I guess?
It's
making a lot of
directed
money.
by-
Can I guess?
You might get it.
Kiss Kiss Bang Bang.
No.
I'm going.
No. Way before that. I mean, the OG of the first movie to truly break kind of through the mainstream as a clear-cut dark comedy.
Directed by the Coen brothers.
Oh shit! Is it on
No.
mine?
No, before that.
Hey,
Directed by Wes
Is it
Anderson?
on my list? Does it take place
No.
in Baltimore?
No. What are you thinking of?
I'll tell you in a minute.
I
No.
think you're taking on about Serial Mom.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought you would.
That didn't that wasn't the OG. I'm talking the movie that
How old?
started
What
the
decade?
modern day 70s.
So, 70s. Wow. So you're going to older school than Ben.
No,
on this
Ben
one.
is 1922. This is I'm
Actually,
okay for
my
70s.
oldest film was 66.
All
but,
right.
The
I'll
Graduate.
No,
Yeah.
actually,
I
the
think
year
it's
before The
70s.
Graduate, same director.
All right, go
it's,
for it.
I think it's 70s. Harold and Maude, man.
Yeah, Harold Maude. Yeah, of course.
Ooh.
I think that was the first popularization of like, oh, this is weird, but I kind of like it, and it opened the door for
Well,
even filmmakers like Burton and
Hal Ashby was a fucking. I mean, he was a great director. I mean,
yeah.
Ashby
Oh, yeah.
directed one of my favorite movies of all time, which is Being There, which I don't.
Oh,
I
yeah.
don't consider a dark comedy. I consider that's an elevated comedy.
Yeah.
That goes well beyond being a dark comedy.
I agree.
But Harold and Maude, I think, qualifies, and it's
I
a
agree.
very interesting film.
And have you guys seen Mary and Max, which is also a two-name?
Well, the animated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the
it's
Harvey
just-
Weinstein story about Miramax?
Oh Jesus
Oh, no, that's
Christ!
Mary Mouse. Sorry.
It's okay. It's also
Go for it.
God damn.
See what it's
I
like?
never know when you want me to talk. Either of you. I never know. I'll never know. Do you want me
I
to
sit
talk?
here
we're
silent
looking
most.
at you.
I sit here silent most of the time. I listen back to these things. That's mostly just
Silent,
talking.
he says. Silent. Dear
I'm
listeners.
staring. Go.
That's it. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Mary Max, Harold and Maude. That's it. I'm
I
done.
don't know what Mary Max is. Are we gonna?
It's
explain?
a stop motion animation.
Yeah, it's a claymation. Like,
Is it John C. Reilly?
is it one of the is the voice of
the voice of
Max?
one,
Oh,
yeah.
so it's a newer thing.
Yeah, like,
Yes, relatively new.
8 years ago,
Oh,
7
wow.
years ago.
I've not heard of that.
My sister actually turned me onto it, and at first, I didn't know if I wanted to sit down and watch a stop motion animation that wasn't Nightmare Before Christmas, but it was really good. It was
No,
really
it
good.
is a really good movie. The only other two movies I was going to mention were Serial Mom, Kathleen Turner.
Really? That really was
Yeah.
on your list?
Yes.
Good call.
1994, man.
I love
Is it
Serial
good?
Mom, man.
And so,
That was my
obvious-
first John Waters movie.
Well, really?
I mean,
Wow.
Really?
Well, that was him first getting mainstream exposure, and
Yeah,
the last
it-
appearance
it-
of Hammerjack's nightclub. Rest in peace.
it was his kind of mainstream opus, but I mean that was due to mostly like an Oscar-nominated turn by Kathleen Turner, and
She was nominated for an Oscar
for that movie.
No
Yes.
shit.
Yes, yes,
Really?
she was
Wow,
nominated.
I had no
for Best
idea.
Actress.
I
it was
didn't know that
well
either.
acclaimed.
Yeah.
Wow.
Did he get any other nods for it?
No,
No,
Not even
fuck no.
screenplay?
I don't think so.
Well, who knows? Maybe there'll be a new category for best film where a drag queen eats
That is
shit.
crazy that she got an Oscar nod. I mean, it's a great movie. I just never would have guessed that she got an Oscar nod for
Yeah.
it.
It's a very unique role, and she nails it.
And she nails it, and she goes completely over the top for it, and it's fantastic.
And that's the one way you can get that nom.
But I love the way that her family reacts off of her, which is it ends up being kind of this familial story, which is fantastic. Yeah. Like that's a movie in and of itself that I think does its own thing.
Cool,
but anyways,
Serial Mom, nice, Ben.
But the one movie that I wanted to mention that was Mike Nichols directed right before The Graduate was I never realized was a dark comedy until after I realized what a dark comedy was Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf.
Oh, wow.
Which is a dark comedy. And
which is based on a play.
Yes. Well, it is a play, but it's a very that's a very acerbic movie.
Sure.
And I never really, and then after I was just like, I kept seeing.
Ben, what does acerbic mean? I'm serious. What does it mean?
Acerbic essentially means
Arabia. That's when something's Arabian.
Acerbic means either sort of grating or bitter.
Okay.
With a point. It's pointed and
like Harry Nielsen's The Point.
Maybe a little bit rough around the edges. Acerbic.
All right, I didn't know that. That's good. Good work.
So, anyways, I was always like, oh wow, that's like one of. So I always that was '66. It was this black and white movie that predated The Graduate. It has the same sort of kind of sense of humor, but is way darker, in the way that it approaches the story. So those were the two that I wanted to bring up. Were not even so much Serial Mom, but Kathleen Turner's performance.
Yeah,
Serial Mom is one of the best.
Well, everybody in that
Serial Mom.
What makes that work so well? I mean, you've got Sam Waterston, you've got Ricky Lake, and you've got like these other people reacting so they're reacting just like if their mom has done something a little bit
oh shit, she like forgot to pay the car bill.
Exactly.
Basically.
Yeah. It's interesting, and I think that what I was saying about the Virginia Woolf is that I think a lot of plays in general that have any comedic bent to them are typically dark comedies. Just from the medium, it seems to be because there's so much of you're filling. You've got to fill this emotion on stage. So there's almost all these things that are happening.
Like I saw August Osage County with the original cast, and that is a dark comedy. Like that.
Can I throw one at you?
But that's August. That's
Tracy Letts.
Tracy Letts.
Yeah, right. Married to Carrie Coons from The Leftovers.
Wow,
man, I love her.
God bless both of them.
I love
make some
her.
great work together.
She's in Party Down too.
Is Carrie Coons in Party Down?
I think so.
I haven't seen it in years, but I wouldn't have recognized her on it.
Yeah. Let me throw one at you. Play-wise, Neil Aboot, Shape of Things, dark comedy?
Shape of Things. Fucking
Is that a dark comedy?
Yeah,
100%.
100%.
Okay.
No, and if you guys have not seen Shape of Things, you go seek it out. Ben showed me that movie.
The Shape of
Things, even better than Nurse Betty.
The Shape of Things is one of the best plays on screen that you can watch. I love it. I love.
Me too.
I love the film adaptation of that movie. Paul Rudd completely out of
Rachel Weisz and Paul Rudd are dynamite.
Oh, they're just so amazing.
They are dynamite.
And it's got Gretchen.
I'll allow it.
Gretchen.
Yeah,
that's right, listeners. Neil Aboot references, Rachel Weisz. This is what we are. This is who we are.
And the only other, I had just one really dark one on my list just because I wanted to go even.
Tell me it's not Gummo.
It's not Happiness, but it's a Robin Williams movie called World's Greatest Dad, directed by Bobcat Goldthwait.
Yes.
So here's the premise of the movie. You can determine whether this is a dark comedy or not. This guy is a teacher. His son is a little shit. They don't get along very well. The son dies by accidental autoerotic asphyxiation while he's jerking off.
Dark comedy.
The father finds this kid who's got porn playing and mid jerk off that's accidentally strangled himself to death. And he's like, I can't let the world think that this is what happened to my son. So he writes a suicide note for the son and makes it look like the son committed suicide.
I've never seen it. I've just seen.
How old is the son? That's advanced.
He's a high schooler.
I didn't get into autoerotic asphyxiation until college. That's impressive.
Hey, by the way, just keep the auto out of it, man.
You're lucky I never lived in the Gadaba Lane house. The shit you would have
asphyxiate with a friend, brother.
Yes, with a friend, with someone you trust. That's the golden rule of asphyxiation.
Also a dark comedy, the New Way podcast. But yeah, if you have not seen World's Greatest Dad, it maybe is not for everyone, but it's a Bobcat Goldthwait has a real handle on dark comedy in a way that it's unlike a lot of directors out there, and I'm always interested to see
he's
his
good,
shit.
he's good.
Yeah, he's a damn good director.
I think. I mean, do you guys agree that, like, you know, a dark comedy is much harder to pull off? It's got a lot of moving parts and a lot of You gotta stick that landing more than a normal comedy.
Sure.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think that's why
to truly be classified as a dark comedy and to be a good one is an accomplishment.
Absolutely.
Well, and that's why.
To be good.
And I think a lot of what's interesting, why I like something like Netflix, is a lot of these dark comedies I wouldn't have seen or wouldn't know wind up in a place like that. And
Santa Clarita Diet?
Yeah, Santa Clarita is not an amazing show.
I don't love it, but
it's a good dark
premise.
comedy. You know what? I've watched both seasons. I watched them all in one day. It's not a lot of time off my hands, and it gives me enough.
It's palatable.
It gives me just enough. But I mean,
it doesn't have a dark star.
Now,
So Ben
the one that I really, I'm not going to discuss it because we've brought it up in the show fucking 1,000 times. I thought you were going to do it, Ben.
Alien?
The zero effect.
Well, so here, the two that I thought somebody was going to bring up, I didn't bring them up, are the Zero Effect and the Ice Harvest. And the Ice Harvest is one of my favorite dark comedies of all time.
Don't know either of those.
Oh my god!
Jeez,
Oliver Platt and the Ice Harvest is...
Wait.
No,
Wait,
directed by Harold Ramis.
Wait. Did you say Oliver Platt?
Oliver Platt.
Holy shit.
John Cusack.
Lake Placid's Oliver Platt?
John Cusack, Oliver Platt, Billy Bob Thornton.
And Zero Effect has Lake Placid's Bill Pullman.
Pullman, Ben Stiller. And...
who's the girl?
what's her face?
I forget.
And our favorite star from the 70s, what's his face? Reynolds, the guy from...
What is their face?
The guy from Love Story.
What is their faces?
I don't...
He was the guy
who... What are their faces?
He was the client.
I forget. It's been a while
John
since...
Grisham?
Ryan
O'Neal?
Ryan O'Neal.
Oh, there we go.
Bad News Bears.
There we go. Oh, nice.
That's where I would have gone.
Look at that. Yeah, there are.
You like that? You like that?
I like that one. No, I find my brother, and what I like is almost every movie weekend I've had with my brother, we wind up on a dark
Has
comedy.
involved Bobcat Goldthwait.
It's we're gonna watch the Beaver, or we're gonna watch the one where Ryan Reynolds talks like the dog and the cat.
Oh, right.
Dead something, I forget what it is, but like I've watched a gazillion just okay dark comedies with my brother that like this I was happy to do this one. So I think that'll wrap us up for the evening. We've got
I'd like
a hot
to touch
date
on about
with
15
karaoke.
more.
We're gonna sing some karaoke.
So I'm gonna just play Nick off here. And, shit, I couldn't do it quick enough. Anyway, but we thank you so much for listening. Hope you enjoyed this week's episode of The New Way. We have a lot of fun episodes coming up. I think
we got shit planned.
I think we're due to do another musical episode. If you have not listened to our Let's Make a Musical episode, you can hear Ben make the ultimate vampire musical that's ever been made. Nick turn an action movie into the most beautiful love story I think I've ever heard in my life.
Thank you. The action movie.
The action movie. And you should listen to it. It's a great episode. Go back and listen to our new ones. Just go back to like 32. There's a few before that we can recommend, but you don't have to go to a lot of those.
You'll know if it's good by the title.
Yeah, you'll sound a lot different than this one sounds. So
read that book by its cover, baby.
Okay. So thanks so much for listening, and we'll talk to you next episode. Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers. Cheers.
Where's my mouth?
Cheers.
Cheers.
Where's my mouth?
Cheers.